What are you noticing about yourself now that has changed or been encouraging to you as you have attended these calls?
Mhm.
Or if you haven't attended the call before, you can consider the question, what has changed, hopefully in a positive way for you? What's changed in a positive way because of the virus? So we pose those two questions just to get a reading of how you are, and those of you who've been with us can reflect back. What has been an impression on you that you want to keep with you carrying into the future?
And a reminder, there is no wrong, so whatever your thoughts are just fine.
I know we have a very thoughtful group here.
Yes.
I have one piece, and I have not been a part of these gatherings in the past, but being separated from other people, and I have had a little bit of an effort to write some notes to people, people at work, people, friends or relationships, and I have been surprised at the responses of some people and how important taking initiative to reach out and give somebody a positive message. And
yes.
I've received back easily as much as I have given by taking the time and effort out to do that. And that's something new for me.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for that, Randy. And that just so speaks to how when we slow down as we've had to, how even though we're separated, our connections can really be strengthened. Sometimes with the people we've just kind of taken for granted that we see every day. So beautiful. Thank you for that.
I had kind of the same experience. In our newsletter, our pastor had asked if there was anyone willing to write notes to shut-ins and so forth. So I said, yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. So she sent me a huge list, and I thought, well, I'll just start and work through the list. And yesterday I had a phone call from one of them, and we must have talked for 2 hours. I'd never met the person before, but she was just so thankful to receive my note, and we learned all about each other, and the connection was fantastic. It was
beautiful.
Really,
yeah, thank you.
Well, in this time of isolation, we do need to find new ways to connect, and how wonderful to connect with new people that you haven't met before. Wow.
That's great.
Cool.
Yeah. Anyone noticing anything within themselves? That's
one thing for me is I have become much more comfortable sitting on the couch and reading, and not saying, "Oh, I really should be doing something else." And then the other thing is careful or greeting cards, especially to people who have lost loved ones recently, but following up after a grief card with a couple weeks later a card that I'm remembering you in my prayers. Because oftentimes after grief cards, nothing else comes.
Yes.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, that 2 to 12 month period after the death can be as hard as the immediate effect. So
yeah.
how wonderful that you're remembering those people.
Yeah. Karen, you were going to. Yes.
One of the things that I've noticed is that because I'm staying home, I try to go out only about once every week to 10 days. Go out for a day, get every place I need to do everything I need to do, and then come back and plunk down. And there's two things that I'm noticing. One is I'm feeling really much more grounded and in the present moment almost all the time. It's just there's a sense of peace and tranquility. But the second thing is, because I'm only going out that one time, is I really noticed that thought about, is this when I'm out and about, is this something I want or is this something I really need? And I find I'm getting much better at just kind of like distinguishing and then determining whether it's something I'll go ahead and get or do or not.
Mhm.
So it's been really interesting.
Yeah, I love that, Karen, because it shows the direct connection between simply being present and your level of self awareness, rather than being on automatic. What a difference that can make. Beautiful, thank you.
Mhm. Well, let's launch into our topic for today because
Uh-huh.
Kate and I had so much fun dreaming this up that we want to share it with you. And the title of today is Enjoying the Game of Life, Allowing Joy to Dominate Your Life Experiences.
Mhm.
Allowing joy to dominate your life experiences.
Yeah. So we want you to imagine your life is a game. You're playing a game. I just kind of think about when you are playing a game, how do you feel as you're rolling the dice or picking a card, taking that chance, creating your strategy, all of that. What is that like when you are playing a real game, a board game, card game, whatever it is? And that's what we want you to be kind of bringing over into life as well.
Yeah, for those of you who were with us last week when we talked about reframing, another way to say this is we'd like you to look today through the window of life as a game. And how does life look when you look through that window? That's what we're going to do today.
Yeah.
And in our game of life, there's one major difference between our game of life and most other games, and that is in our game, nobody loses. Everybody wins.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about how can you make sure that you win at the game of life, no matter what cards you draw, no matter what comes at you in life.
Yeah. So let's start with thinking about when you're playing a real game. Like, anybody else like to play games? Like, my nickname is Game Girl. Oh, good. A lot of people don't like me for that, but I want to turn everything into a game. And it doesn't matter what it is, and I'm not super competitive. Like, I don't have to win that board game, but I just love to play. I think it's just the playfulness part, that really comes in for me. So we'd like you to think for a minute about when you're playing a game, what helps you get the results you want?
And what helps you have fun?
Yeah.
What is it about the game?
What do you need?
One of the observations that comes to mind is that if I'm playing a game with other people, I'm trying to strategize basically so that others lose, so that I can win, and I'm not just thinking about. Phone's ringing.
That's my mother. I think I'll take
Hi,
it.
Marcia.
Okay.
Good, she's gone, so I can win. But I think that is a different kind of attitude if I started thinking about life as a game where I win, where we all win. I think that would give me a different perspective of we can all experience joy or the reward, or not have that pressure where there's competition.
Right.
Or am I living to all the joy that I can be in, meaning other people can also have joy?
Sure, yeah, right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And how much more fun does that make it? When that's the situation that we're in.
Now, there's not a limited amount of joy in the world. So, you have to lose in order for me to have more. Right? It's an unlimited supply, and it's more a matter of how much do we allow ourselves to experience it.
Yeah, and the one thing you mentioned, Randy, and which is also helpful in the game of life, is strategy. Kind of thinking ahead, like, all right, how do I want to do this? And you need to be, as we were talking a little bit ago with Karen, is you need to be present, right? To be able to know where you're going or what do I want, where am I? You need to be present. So that's certainly applicable in life.
I notice when I'm playing games, there's often a lot of laughter.
Mhm. Yeah, silliness too. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Laughter and silliness.
On the
Oh, yeah.
opposite end of Kate,
Go ahead.
I don't enjoy games. Except maybe Monopoly.
Okay. All right.
And part of it might be I'm not competitive.
Okay.
So instead, as Randy suggests, I just like be happy if everyone wins.
Yeah.
Right.
And
And
the good
the
news.
classic example is I played football for Pacific Lutheran University. Well, if anyone see my size, you know it wasn't varsity football. It was PE class at 8 o'clock in the morning. And one of my best friends, I would hit, we'd play in, we would hit each other and then stand there and talk the rest of the time until they started again. So there was no competition.
Yeah, and I love that, Flip. And here's the deal: is I mean, even when I'm playing a board game, I am not competitive. I might be playing like ooh, what do I do and all of that. I'm not attached to having to win that game. But the cool thing about playing the game of life is that again, you don't have to lose. You don't have to compete with anyone. In fact, we believe that when you are trying to compete with someone else, you're actually going to lose your power. You know, you're not uniquely being present in the game, in your game. Yeah, this is even better than I thought it would be.
Carol and I worked at a camp many years ago, before we were married, actually. And when we would take the kids out, I don't know if you remember this, Carol, or if you were even a part of doing this, but when I would take the kids out to play volleyball or softball or whatever, the one rule we had was whoever has the most fun wins.
Oh, I love
We didn't keep score. Nobody kept score when you crossed the plate. No, it didn't add to your score. You know, when you made the victory with that volleyball shot, it did not add to the score, but it did add to your score was,
I
are you
love
having fun?
that.
Are you having fun?
That
And so then they would compete, and we'd try to figure out at the end who had the most fun. And normally, they decided each of them had the most fun. So it was a form of everybody winning.
yeah, I love that, and that's a great metaphor for life.
We
Sure.
carried that over to the girls when they were born and little, but they didn't get on board with that idea.
Yeah. So there had to be a winner. Yeah.
I bet they'd get on board now that they're a little more mature.
A little bit.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So,
Welcome,
so we
Lenore.
all agree that there's lots of fun things that can happen in a game, and so we want to try and visualize our life being a game. But there are some things that happen that tend to make us forget that it's a game. Even if we're intentional about it, there are stresses that happen. Certain things go on that pull us out of game mode. Right. So what are some of those things? What pulls you out of game mode?
In life.
Yeah.
What do you notice?
Causes you to get too serious, or causes you to be too competitive. You know, the things that take your joy away. Yeah, Diane.
I think for me, when I take things too seriously, I think it's a wonder sometimes the sun comes up every day if I don't tell it to. Because I feel so responsible.
You're so responsible. Yeah.
I am completely responsible for it. Everything that happens to everyone in life.
Oh.
Yeah.
And so, how often does your life feel like a game, Diane?
Not real often. That was one of the things I was going to say is that when I play a game, it's interesting that you would when I play a game, if I'm thinking about that,
Mhm.
like a board game or a card game, I think what I try to do is to not take it too seriously. It's just a game. But I would never have thought of that about my life.
Exactly.
I would never have brought that over and crossed over that bridge. That will take some thought for me.
Yeah, good. And we hope you have fun thinking about that. It's a great metaphor. It is a great metaphor, so that
So it also makes me think, I invite you to think about this, because when I think about when do I do a better job with what I'm doing, it's often when I'm having more fun. Not when I'm thinking hard, not when I'm trying to find the right words to say or whatever. It's like when I'm having fun and I experience that freedom of spontaneity, I actually do pretty good work.
Yeah, I love that you said spontaneity, David, because that also involves trusting yourself. You know, really trusting, like, okay, I can do this. And that we don't have the fear that we carry in life. You know, there's so much that we scare the bejeebers out of ourselves because we're in fear of what might happen. Where if you're playing a game, a board game, and you know you might go to jail in Monopoly, you know that you can get out of jail. You know, you're not going to die in jail. You know, it's just that game mentality. So, you know, imagine living life without fear and trusting yourself and even taking a risk.
Yeah, what else gets in the way? That's kind of where we're focused in the moment. What gets in the way of that game feeling?
For me, it's when I have to deal with technology.
Oh, okay.
It's just like I have such a low tolerance level. I just, for example, purchased a new phone through a new service. So I went from Verizon to T-Mobile and got a new phone, and that was yesterday. And I have such a low tolerance. I can deal with certain things like make a choice. When you're looking at all the options on this phone, and I'm looking at it and I'm going, well, if I say yes to that, then does that mean I'm giving up all my security?
Yeah,
Does that mean
Karen, I have a question for you with that. How could assessing what technology you would want, how different that could be if you approached it, looking out the window or the perspective of like, oh, I get to learn or purchase some technology here. Ooh, I'm going to make a game out of that. Like, what a different experience that might be versus I'm hearing a lot of overwhelm and confusion.
There's
And
a part there, yeah, Kate. There's a part that, but part of me is knowing when to stop. So, and the other piece is knowing also, I have come to the conclusion that technology, there'll be parts that work for me easily and other parts that won't. And I just need to find somebody to hold my hand and get through this thing. But you're right. I'm taking it less seriously I just expect it's going to happen.
yeah,
So I'm not neurotic about it, but it does frustrate me, and I find my tolerance level.
okay. And
how tired I am.
yeah, and I bet everybody here, if not technology, there's something else in everybody's life that you can apply the same kind of thing. You know, that we have a very low tolerance about, or we get really frustrated, or we get annoyed.
Yes.
And, think about that. When that is your life, you're in charge of your life, and you're in charge of how you feel.
Yeah.
And so, how different life can be when we're in the mindset of like, okay, this is a game. I'm in.
One thing that used to, am I interrupting somebody?
No.
Oh, okay. One thing that used to dominate my life, which does not very much anymore because I'm practicing something different, is that sometimes when I was assessing whether or not I wanted to play a game, I would think about, well, do I have the skills to play this game? And if I didn't have the skills, then I would retreat rather than diving in and learning the skill.
Love it.
And so that's been very interesting. I used to play racquetball, flip quite a bit, and I was anxious about that at first because I didn't know
He
what I was
shouldn't be. He won all the time.
Not that that matters.
and Dawn's not here right now, but her husband taught me how to play golf. And if you had seen me on my first round of golf, you would have laughed your face off. I mean, it was just incredible. But normally in my past, I would hesitate if I wasn't confident that I could do it well. And it kept me out of game mode.
Yeah, and I want to piggyback on that, David, because when when you think about life, just living life, and we talked a little bit about this earlier, and that level of competition and comparing ourselves to other people. And rather than just having our experience, being who we are, not trying to be like anybody else or play like they play, imagine how much more fun would be. It would be to live life.
Related to that, Kate, I have a thought that if I think of when I play a game, I try not to take it personally. Like I can just separate myself and my feelings or my self-worth apart from the game.
Yes.
Depending how seriously other people play the game, maybe. But in life, I put a lot more pressure on myself because this has to do with my self-worth. How do people see me and evaluate me? And am I good enough, or am I coming across well?
Right.
That
I love that. Yes.
Attitude.
Yeah, I think that is one of the common blocks for people in life, is just what you're describing, Randy. How we can give our joy away, to that person that we think is better than us or that might not like us. And we give it away. Wow, we do that. We humans do that all the time.
So kind of connected to that, did I cut someone off?
No, go ahead, Lenora.
I was going to say kind of connected to that when I don't know the rules, like when I'm going into a situation that is unfamiliar or when I'm stressed. Those are kind of two things that are connected for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, not quite sure what's going on. Do I know all the rules of the game? And if you're just stressed to start with, yes. Yeah, get it.
So here's the little game I want to play within the game of this call, within the game of life. And the game is about these things we've been talking about, the things that get in the way of us enjoying life as a game. All those things, like taking things too seriously, or feeling responsible for everybody, or needing to have skills before we even start, right? Or not knowing the rules. What do all of those things have in common? There's a common thread that runs through all of those things that draw us away from feeling like we're playing a game in life. What might that be?
Fear.
You said what?
Yeah, fear. Karen said fear.
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 Who said that? I'm not seeing.
Karen.
Oh, Karen said that.
Marsha
Yeah.
said it too.
Yeah.
Yes.
I said judgments.
Yes.
Okay.
And does judgment have an element of fear in it? Like, do we fear being judged? Is that what you're talking about? Do you sometimes fear being judged, or fear that you will judge?
You know,
By that.
I would say actually both, David.
Okay.
Fair to say both.
Yeah. So there's fear there too. Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about Triumph's geography, which is in any given moment, we're either in the land of love, where we're absolutely connected to who we are, we feel great, we're at our best, you know, we're compassionate and patient and loving and understanding and have a positive impact. And sometimes we're in the land of fear. And if we're judging someone else, we're actually afraid that somebody might look better than we do. You know, if we are backing down because somebody has said something insulting to us, we're afraid. What do they think of us? And will other people latch onto that? You know, so, you know, when we can narrow it down so simply is when I feel good, I'm in the land of love. When I don't, I'm in the land of fear. You know, it applies for this discussion as well.
Yeah, let's get a little more specific to kind of drive this home here. Like, what fear is involved if I am taking life too seriously? The fear.
Good one.
Connected to that. There might be several fears.
Oh yeah, I would imagine.
What fear is involved in my behavior of taking life too seriously?
Part of that could be the fear of failure.
Yes.
Yes.
Sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, like I have to be really wound up tight, really focused, and really work hard, or everything falls apart. Diane's
Right.
nodding her head. Like, did I just describe you, Diane?
Yeah, fear of failure, or as Marcia mentioned, fear of judgment, perhaps.
Right.
Comes to my mind, which sometimes stops me from doing things if I fear judgment.
Yeah.
And it's a heck of a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
I was going to say what people think or what people might say. That, you know, which goes with the fear of judgment.
But I think it's always, you know, fear of failure, but with that judgment goes acceptance. Everybody has a need to be accepted by, I think, their peers, their community, or whatever. And if you're in fear that if you do something that is not whatever you, I don't know how you say it, but yeah, am I going to be accepted for doing this?
Right. Yeah. And I just want to throw out in the game of life, I don't think that's one of the rules, that you must be accepted. It's great if you are, but for me to have joy, I can have it whether you accept me or not. Like, how about that?
Ooh, we can throw that rule out, Kate?
Yeah.
You are a superhero.
You know, I mean, really, you know, that, I mean, this is again goes to that place of I'm not giving my joy away just because you don't accept me. Like, no.
Can you live with me?
Sure, I'll move there. You have a spare room. Yeah.
Nothing against Gordy. I
Yeah.
mean, I love him, but you know.
Yes. Yeah, good. Good. Someone
Yeah.
else.
So, when we're in fear, how much fun are we having?
Zero.
Zero.
Not much. So, fear being an unwanted anticipation of something we don't want, right? Anticipation of an unwanted result. That's what fear is. So what if we stop doing that? What if we stop anticipating a bad result?
Oh, let's see.
Yeah, imagine that. Think about, you know, kind of remember our metaphor here. You know, like when you're in game mode, playing your favorite board game or sport or whatever, you know, is the, you know, what's present there when you're having fun.
Yeah, so that leads us into one of the places we wanted to go today, which is suggestions for living life as a game. And one of those that we would like to suggest to us all is that we live with the intention of enjoying, rather than the anticipation that something will go wrong. What if we lived with the intention that we're going to enjoy it? It's like intention is what you need to create a plan in how to win in any game, really. So why wouldn't it also apply here? I want to intend something, and I focus on what I want, not what I don't want. Right?
And welcome to Ken. I don't know who Ken is. Can we see you, Ken? Let's take a little pause here. Don't know if you can, hope you can hear us.
Yeah, welcome, Ken. If you can either unmute yourself or start your video, we'd love to see you. Otherwise, you're still welcome also.
Yes.
Yeah, so an intention also helps us keep our focus or keeps us from panicking when we draw that go to jail card, or we draw the stay at home card, or we draw the watch out you might get sick card, right? Our intentions, I can have an intention around not getting sick. I can have an intention around doing everything within my power to not get sick. Now, if I'm focused there, imagine how that might be different from me focusing on, oh, I'm afraid it's going to get me.
Worry.
You feel the difference?
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah. You know, I think you're hitting on a real common block for a lot of us, and that's just worry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when that is, you know, when we've got just worry circling around in our mind about all the what ifs. What is that doing to you in the present moment? As you're anticipating what might happen, what bad thing might happen later. What that does to your now. It steals the joy from your now. Mm-hmm. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, versus intending. I intend to absolutely stay calm through this. You know, when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I had big intentions for how I was going to go through that whole course of treatment, rather than just be in a state of chronic fear and worry and get swept into that. I was not going to give my joy away to cancer. And that was because of intention.
Yeah, and one of the things that I've learned over the years, it's taken me quite a few years to learn it, is that it's best if the intention comes before the hows.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can get distracted on how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? You know, how am I going to manage this?
Mm-hmm.
And the hows come a lot easier if I get focused on an intention. If I'm focused on something specific, then the hows start to appear. Does anybody else experience that? I've kind of learned that over the years.
Yeah,
Very
it's a lot
fast.
more fun that way. Like you remind me, David, when we're playing a board game, and your intention might be to, let's say Candyland. Everybody know Candyland? Is to be the first one to get to the end of the board. That's the intention. So you don't know as you're going along what exactly is going to happen. You don't know if you're going to get to Queen Frostine and then pull Mr. Plumby card and get socked back to the beginning of the board. You don't know that. You know, and you can even still recover from that and end up winning because other people are playing too. So we don't have it all blocked out, knowing exactly how I'm going to get there. But boy, I'm intending to be the first one across that line. And in life, we don't have to compete. We're all crossing our own lines, so we get to create our own game.
as you continue the intentions, that's when the fears start dropping away.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
very
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. Because
Yeah,
there's trust, isn't there?
Trust.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and since we're talking about living a joy-filled life and having life be a game, then the key thing is to be noticing how you feel along the game board of life. How do I feel? Like, oh boy, I'm noticing I'm really anxious, or I'm really stressed out, and I'm holding back. I'm not taking risk. I'm not showing up. You know, how does that feel? Versus like, okay, I am in the game. let's you know, like, give me a card.
What you're saying, Kate, is that if we're feeling yucky, we've lost our game mode.
Yes,
And
yes,
so, how can we get back into the game mode
right,
so we feel better?
exactly. Exactly. And again, that goes to intention. If you're intending, like, all right, I intend to live my life, to play this game so that I can be at my best most of the time. I can feel good and experience joy in little things and big things. And then I'm absolutely aligned to that. Boy, I'm winning my game.
I'm curious, Bill, when you said that about intention,
Mhm.
tell me more about what you were thinking about with that.
Are you talking about my cancer diagnosis?
No, she's
or-
talking to Flip.
Okay. Flip.
I guess what I was thinking was that simply as you continue to intend positive things, and as they happen, the fear drops away, not all at once, but slowly but surely. And I understand that there are loads of family system kind of things and fears and all that get in the way and muck it all.
Yeah.
No doubt about
Good
it.
point.
Can you
But that
share a little bit of how that has worked for you, Flip?
How do you make it?
And how do you make that work?
I think, in part, it is working on a positive attitude. And I don't mean just sugary, positive kind of thing, but looking instead at things that have gone well in life, and then living thankfully.
Gratitude. Mhm.
I think gratitude has a whole lot to do with it.
Yes, I agree.
And not allowing some thoughts. It's mind over matter. Some nights I go to sleep holding my thumb because I know that it helps in a relaxation mode. I don't know what it does. I don't remember. But saying mind over matter, Yahweh, mind over matter, Yahweh. And I fall asleep.
I remember that one.
Wow.
So I wish, Randy, I had better ideas. I don't know.
They're great examples, Flip. They're great examples that you shared.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I have a really narrow, specific example. In like one of those health relatable weight loss classes, for the first week I'm like, oh God, I'm going in, I'm gonna have gained a pound or whatever, and then I'm like, that's my intention isn't to be unhappy this whole time. It's to figure out what I can do to be like. My goal was to be healthier, to be able to hike, to be able to climb a hill. And so when I started thinking about it that way, my goal is to make choices so that I can feel the way that I want to. It was different. And so what I worked on was, what am I going to eat today that's going to make me feel good? What am I going to do to get some activity in? And that's a really different, for me, it's a really different feeling than, oh God, I got to step on, I'm like, I'm not even going to, I'll do that because that was part of the program, but I'm not even going to look at the number. I'm going to look at what I need to do to get myself to feeling how I want to feel.
Right. I love that. It's not a should. It's not, which what you're describing is a perfect example of you going on this journey from the land of love rather than the land of fear. You know, always dreading what will people think, or what if I fail? What if I gain a pound instead of lose a pound, and all of that, which feels totally different. One is very self-honoring in the land of love, and the other not at all. You know, so excellent. I love that one.
And
Laura.
that's a good example.
I don't know if this makes sense, but when you talk about games, I think it's the sense of realizing that whatever the outcome is, it's going to be okay. I like playing games, but one thing I can't do is I get really stressed watching a close game on TV where the outcome's not. I pace and I walk. However, I've also coached in many games where I've been on the winning end at the very end, or I've been on the losing end at the very end. I've been involved in the coaching aspect of it. And I think it's realizing from one of our earlier conversations that no matter what happens, it's going to be okay in the end. Either way, it's going to be okay in the end, and you're going to come out and okay. So if you lose a game, the sun is going to come up tomorrow.
Yes.
And you know,
if Diane's on duty, yeah.
if Diane says so, if Diane says the sun's going to come up, it's going to come up. And I think that's you know, when you get into situations in life where you're feeling stressed, and a person told me once, because I was feeling stressed, and this kind of helped me. He said, well, you know, stress is all self-imposed. Nobody's putting stress on you. This is all self-imposed. And I looked at it and I said, no, it's not. He goes, yeah, it is. Think about that. So I think it's a feeling of knowing that you're going to be fine at the end, no matter what happens.
Yeah, I love that. And thinking about your life, you're going to be fine. Like, you know, we don't know what's going to happen between now and when we depart. But, you know, trusting that it's whatever happens is just fine. That is freedom. Yeah.
I remember I used to play cards hoping that I would get good cards so I could win. And now my focus is more not so much, I hope I get the good cards, but my intention is to play the best I can with the cards I'm dealt. And isn't that applicable to life too? That sometimes we keep thinking, well, I'll be happy when, or I'll let myself feel joy when I win, or when I get this or that.
Yeah.
Rather than, I'm going to accept the cards I've been dealt and see what I can do with it.
Yeah.
And then it becomes more of a game for me.
Yeah, and you can have fun playing that game. It can be a really significant challenge. And like, okay, I'm gonna be really creative and strategic, and I'm gonna trust myself, and I'm gonna take a risk, and I might try something that fails. Then I try something else. Like, you know, when you think about life as the series of experiences, it's not just the end. Like, all right, when I do this at the end, when I reach this point, then I will have joy. No, it's the process. That's when you can't lose. You know, no matter what the challenges that have popped in the game.
When you say play cards, David, I'm reminded of a bus ride home from Florida one time when two chaperones challenged me to a whist game, and they said, take whatever partner you want. We started playing whist about in Chattanooga, Tennessee. We played all night until we got to Glenwood the next day. I didn't win one game, but I look back on that and I think that is the best time I've had on the bus, because I just kept playing. I kept rolling new partners.
That's great.
Oh,
there.
man.
And you know, we just kept going in. I kept looking at these two ladies going, my gosh, I think you guys are cheating. And so we keep going and going. And I think that's, you know, in the game of life, I think the thing is, just never quit and realize that somehow I'm going to come out.
Wow, beautiful.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, you just said it all, Gordy.
Yeah.
You really did. You really did. Yeah, it's. I love it. It's
I
great.
was thinking of you a few minutes ago, Gordy, trying to come up with a sports figure. There was a sports figure. He was a football player, a coach, who said, this is where I got the quote, but I can't remember who said it. He said, "There is no failure, only feedback.
Oh,
There's
geez.
no failure, only feedback."
Yeah.
So if you hold that, if you look through that window, then life can stay a game. Oh, I can't
You
I
can't
can't
lose.
fail, I can just learn.
Yeah.
You do remember who said that, Gordy?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Give me a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who wants to play the game of life?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Yeah. You're in. Yeah, that's good because we all win. Yeah.
Yeah, so we really want to encourage you, as we encourage each other, to play the game of life with delight, without fear of failure, without fear of doing it wrong,
Being judged.
with positive anticipation, and in the mode that you can't lose.
Actually, that quote, David, is kind of loosely based on Thomas Edison.
Oh,
When they were saying you failed at making, the light bulb,
the
he
light
said,
bulb.
no. He said, I just found 1,000 ways it doesn't work.
there you go.
Mhm.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Which was created in
See,
Corning.
I always use, yes,
Is that
Yeah,
right?
I
Was the
always
light
use-
bulb created in Corning?
that's right, I think.
Oh wow! Well, what a history lesson we have here in this game.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I always use a lot of things like Michael Jordan as an example that, he's hit the game-winning shot, but he's missed more than he's made. And Babe Ruth, as great as he was, I think for many years had the record for strikeouts
Mhm.
and home runs.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Balances.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and I think a lot of us humans living our life, we are taking score. We're looking at ourselves and maybe giving us a low mark. I didn't get many points on that,
right.
so I don't feel very good about that. And that self-judgment piece that we all do, we're interfering with our own fun game mode by doing that.
And one of the challenges, of course, is the hours and hours of advertising that tell you if you buy this product, you are a winner.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think we've heard many of you over these weeks that we've been doing these calls have been talking about the blessings of the experience of being, in sheltering in place, and that even, like that this has given us the opportunity to slow down enough to be able to tune in more and see that, which I hope as things resume, we're going to remember that.
Well, it's amazing how fast the time goes. We're nearing the end again. And so before we do any closing, I just want to remind you, if you have any interest in learning more about our Life Mastery program, it's a program we created so that you can spend a year with us, almost like getting a degree, if you would, in Life Mastery. And we have lots of tools and tricks for doing that. So if you want to hear more about that, you can stay on after the call. But before we close, how about any last insights, any last things you've been burning to say? Carol, go ahead.
Oh, I've been meaning to share this with Dawn since she said it. and that was weeks ago when I think you had some physical pain that you were talking about. And did you do a meditation? Were you at your daughter's? What was your experience? Because it really spoke to me about the power of maybe the calm or meditation. Remind me how that went.
I usually spend my mornings in my sun porch in meditation, and I had been all night suffering from this pain, and I didn't know what it was. I don't take any painkillers. And so I thought, I don't even know if I can do it today, but I thought, no, I need to do it. So I was doing my meditation. And as I was meditating, the thought came into my mind, Mother's Day is coming. I think I would like to tell my daughter how thankful I am that she is such a good mother to my grandchildren. So I started writing a letter to her. And it was kind of like a love letter to my daughter. And amazingly, as I was doing that, my pain dissipated. I mean, it went away. It hasn't been back, knock on wood.
Wow.
So I don't know what it was. I have no clue, but it was powerful. It was powerful.
Love.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a beautiful story.
The power of gratitude. That's filled
That's
with
gratitude.
power of gratitude. Yeah, how about anybody else? Any last comments before we stop?
I just want to say thank you because it's been wonderful. It's really helped me being alone here and self-quarantining for 2 months. But it's really helped me, and I really want to say thank you. It's with a lot of love and gratitude.
Well, thank you, Shirley, and I'm so glad you're here, and I'll get to see you here before long.
I know, I can't wait.
Yes, yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, good. Well, thanks for being here. Diane, you had your...
You wanted
Yes,
to say something?
Yes, I wanted to say thank you for sure. And one of the big takeaways that I will have with me after these sessions is we always start these meetings with nobody's wrong for how you feel. How you feel is how you feel. How I feel is okay. And I don't give myself that grace most of the time. So how I feel is okay. It's kind of a mantra that I would like to start in my head
Beautiful.
all the time. Just how you feel is okay. Just it's okay.
Nice.
And I'm also, after this session, I'm thinking, I think I'm going to get a board game out, and I'm going to lay it on my dining room table, and so that I walk by it all the time. And I mean, whether we play the game or not, Gordy, doesn't matter. But it's just as I need a visual.
Yeah.
And that would help me just walk by the board game and just say, oops, remember, Diane, play the game of life, and what you feel like when you play the game.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
that would be
Good.
for me.
Good. Love it. Thank you.
What a great idea.
It is. Yes.
I'd like to just
Wow.
thank you both so very much. It is such a joy. My heart is just bursting with joy at being able to spend this time with the two of you, seeing you coactively lead with such smoothness and precision and joy.
Oh,
I love it, and I just wish that I had somehow managed to make the other calls. But
oh. Well, we have them recorded, Karen, so I can get that to you. Yeah.
I would love that. But my love to both of you and my great appreciation.
All right, thank you. I'm so glad you're here.
So great.
And thank you, Kate and David. Thanks much.
Our
Yeah.
pleasure.
Thank
Yeah,
you very much.
you're
You
welcome.
are all
Yeah,
welcome.
thank you, Dave and Kate. This has been very, very good.
Yeah, and this has been a joy for us. You know, this is our work is a game. So thanks for coming to the game.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
so anybody who stays on, if you want to hear more about how we can continue to support you, we would love to do that. You can stay on, and otherwise we'll say goodbye to everyone else. It's been so fun. So glad that we did it.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. All right.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Have fun.
Hi.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey. Ooh, let all the chimes go.
Time.
Yes. Yes.
Huh?
Good.
Hey,
Woo.
hey.
Oh, it looked like Shirley. Oh, there she goes. Oh, there. Oh, no, here I am still. Okay, all right. I was looking. I thought, oh, a lamp fell over, but I think it was just it was just the angle of your phone. Okay. But, yeah.
Hey, great. Well, I'm so excited. Kate and I just get so excited to share. But this is one of the programs that we are most excited about. We do lots of work in businesses. Usually it's about stress-free leadership, how to take on leadership without being stressed. And that's a wonderful professional program. This is kind of our personal development program that we have kind of held to a gold standard because we have created a program with various learning modes so that everyone can get what they need in order to deal with and create for themselves high satisfaction in at least 10 different areas. We go over 10 different areas of life. And how do you create satisfaction in all those areas, you know, whether it be health or career or whatever. And so it's really fun for us, you know, to do that.
Yeah, we designed it so that it could be, because a lot of people have very busy schedules and have different things that they like or different ways of learning that could meet anyone's needs on their timetable. And so we've been doing this now for several years. I don't know our total number of Life Masters that we've had. The basic elements of the program, Marcia, is the main part is two-day workshops where we're together, and we've done these in a variety of locations in Minnesota and Pennsylvania, New York. And it's with a fairly small group of people where in the 2 days we really get to go deep and do this kind of thing like we did on this call, only even with more depth. You know, this was like an appetizer and we get a banquet, you know, in the 2 days. So that is like the main piece of the program. And we do those several times a year, and if people can't go to one, then they have the opportunity to go to another. Sometimes even within that year, if because of people's schedules, they don't get both in that year, then we roll it over, you know, until they can attend both workshops.
Yeah, there are two different weekends focused with different content. So we want to get at least 4 days of intensive joy creation.
Yes, yeah. Really great material, yeah.
And then in addition to that, included in this program is 12 coaching sessions. So people get the one-to-one experience. So either Kate or I, you can choose either one of us if you have an interest, and then we would be your personal coach for 12 sessions. Some people use them once a month, some people twice a month. You can use them at any rate you want, but it's a way to get a very personal connection in addition to the group connection, which is really neat.
Yeah,
Really
and that's the agenda of the client. You know, it's whatever. Like, this is what I really want to focus on. Then that's where we go. You know, it's not a preset. Well, we have to do this. So it's all designed to match the individual's needs and desires. So that's a really cool.
Yeah, and then we've got some other more technical components too. We have an audio series program called how to deal with difficult people. It's kind of our version of how to handle those people that are sometimes not so pleasant to deal with. And that comes in an audio program to you, which you can listen to at any time. Download the files, etc.
Yeah, you own it. Once you download it, then it's yours. And people say, well, I just keep on going back to there's certain ones that I have to go back and listen to all the time. But, again, that's for each person to use at their own discretion.
Yeah.
You own it.
And one of my favorite parts of the program, Marcia, is what we have called the Fulfillionaire Club. And it's where Kate and I make these short videos, 2 to 3 minute videos, and we send them out every Monday morning. So they might be videos of encouragement or a lesson or something to remember, but it's a way to help get us all started on the week off the right foot. And so that continues every Monday for a year. You get those videos coming to your inbox, and it's a way that we can stay in touch with you every week.
Yeah, just to kind of keep keep it going, that. And then the other piece is a copy of each of our books, Wide Awake, 3 Minutes a Day to an Inspired Life, and Heartfelt Leadership, Creating a Culture of Connection. And the Wide Awake book, it's alternating short chapters that you can read in 3 minutes or less. And the Heartfelt Leadership book, even though it's a book designed for people in business, it really is a book about relationships. It doesn't matter if people are working in the outside world or not. It is about really being with people in a heartfelt way, in a meaningful way. So, and then the other bonus is that everyone who signs up as a life to be in Life Mastery gets to bring a guest to the 2 workshops at no extra charge. They get a free ticket to attend the 2 workshops.
One of the reasons we like to do that is so that you can experience it with someone else if you want to. Not everybody does this, but some people bring their spouse, some people bring a child or a friend or something like that, so that you're learning the same things, and then you can support each other when you go home after the workshops. And it's kind of a fun added element that I really like.
Yeah, it enhances the learning, I think, because there's a common language that we use and that everybody wouldn't get. But when you're going through the program with someone else, you can remind them and hey, did you just go to the land of fear? That kind of thing. It just makes for it just enhances the learning, I think, for both people.
Yeah, that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's all the elements, isn't it? The program, we've got the groups, the 2 group meetings, we've got the coaching, we've got the Fulfillionaire Club, we've got the audio Difficult People program, we've got the books, and the opportunity to bring a guest also to the workshops. And so what we've been doing, Marcia, is we've been kind of promoting this with people who have attended workshops with us before.